Hello, and welcome to the Highland Primary Care Network's Active Pain Coping video. The purpose of this video is to provide you with a brief overview of some of the core approaches to chronic pain management that our team here at the Highland PCN can help facilitate. We call these the 5 big skills. Now, we're not expecting you to have a complete plan by the end of this video, but hopefully you have a better idea of some ways that we can help you with pain management to live a more function-centered life. The concept of the 5 big skills for chronic pain management come from the Calgary Chronic Pain Center. These are the top skills that are backed by research and evidence for chronic pain management. Our chronic pain team members can help you navigate through these skills at your own pace and based on your own set of circumstances. We'll sometimes use various tools like handouts and worksheets along the way. What's really great about these skills are that they apply to all types of chronic pain conditions, and they can be helpful for all people living with chronic pain. These skills might be new to you, or if they aren't, perhaps you haven't had a chance to make the link between them and chronic pain yet. In the pain orientation class, you learned that pain is created by the brain in response to the messages it receives. These messages can be coming from the nerves in the tissues, from the spinal cord, and from other parts of the brain as well. These all make up what we call the nervous system. Now, pain's main role is to protect, but with chronic pain, there have been changes to the nervous system that have led to the pain no longer being helpful and protective. In fact, it's more overprotective and more sensitized. The last important thing to remember is that there is no one pain center in the brain. Pain processing actually occurs in many different areas of the brain, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. These different areas are constantly communicating with each other. And what's really cool is that when there is change to one area of the brain, this can actually cause change to other parts of the brain as well. What does this all mean for chronic pain management? Well, in order to help manage chronic pain more effectively, our goal is essentially to outsmart the nervous system. We can start this by maximizing the parts of our brain that we do have conscious control over in order to influence other areas of the brain that function more behind the scenes. You might also recognize this slide from the orientation class. This is a summary of what we call the biopsychosocial model of pain management. Current chronic pain research acknowledges that there are more than just the biological factors that have influence on an overprotective and sensitized nervous system. What's important to note about this model is that each of these 3 domains are overlapped with each other. This means that similar to our brains, by changing something in one area, we can affect change in the others as well. The 5 big skills follow this model and target elements of each of these aspects that make you, you. The 5 big skills we will learn about today can help turn down the volume of the overprotective messages being sent throughout the nervous system. It's possible that we've all tried many things to find the off switch for pain. No one wants to experience chronic pain, and it's completely reasonable to want it to go away completely. And at the same time, we know there is no off switch. If we think of it more like using a volume dial on the radio to be able to control turning down the volume of pain, we can aim to live a more meaningful and functional life. Let's take a look at how the 5 big skills can help take back some of that control. Our first skill is called self-monitoring, and this is a strategy that can help us become more aware of our pain levels, triggers, variations, and patterns. When we have awareness and can name it, then we can choose the most effective skill, tool, or strategy to be able to do something about it. There are often many factors or triggers that can contribute to an increase in our pain levels, or what we often refer to as a flare-up. And you might be aware of some of them for yourself already, but perhaps not all of them. Self-monitoring helps to point out patterns in what we do and the factors or triggers we maybe weren't aware of. Understanding areas of control that we do have also leads to making the rest of the 5 big skills even more doable. The first place to start is with a self-monitoring diary. If you think about it, if I asked you how your pain has been over the past 2 weeks, it's probably pretty difficult to be able to easily summarize that. In our conversation, you might be able to remember that you had a big flare-up last week or how the past 24 hours have been, but it's really much harder to remember all the factors and all the details that could have contributed to your pain. What we know is that using a self-monitoring diary gives us recorded data of our experiences with pain during a specific time frame. This can help us better understand how what we do impacts our pain levels and where to target our management strategies going forward. Everyone's diaries can look a little bit different. Our chronic pain team members have a blank copy, but we can also create your own and play around with it depending on the factors or triggers that you would like to track. For example, one person might want to start by monitoring their activities, their rest, and their pain, while someone else might want to track their sleep, mood, and pain. Self-monitoring diaries can also be helpful to evaluate the impact of new coping strategies and to help monitor for changes over time. The second of the 5 big skills is pacing, and this is seen as one of the most important skills we have at this time for chronic pain management. To put it simply, it's a calculated balance between doing it all and not doing anything. Now, there are a few different approaches to pacing. Some are more simple, while others are a bit more analytical and involve some math before you can get into practicing the skill. It's really helpful to have the basics of self-monitoring kind of figured out before moving on to pacing, because we do need to know where things are at before we can work on changing them with the pacing skill. Our goal with pacing is to limit the increases in pain intensity above your baseline while still being able to finish what you want to get done and what you need to get done. We know 2 things. It's not always easy and it can feel frustrating at times. And also, it is one of the most effective skills for chronic pain management. Our chronic pain team is committed to working on this skill with you and helping with challenges along the way. These are only some of the ways that previous chronic pain patients have described using and applying the pacing skill in their lives. Relaxation is our 3rd big skill, and it is often underappreciated and underestimated. What comes to mind first when you think of relaxation? Contrary to popular belief, relaxation is not simply doing a relaxing and enjoyable hobby like watching TV or reading. Relaxation is the purposeful practice of techniques on their own to initiate a specific response in the body, the relaxation response. Relaxation techniques focus on calming the nervous system, exactly like using a dial to turn down the volume, like we discussed earlier. Relaxation techniques reduce muscle tension and spasms that can often occur in chronic pain. They also reduce the effects of negative responses to emotions that can accompany chronic pain, like frustration or anxiety, which ironically have been shown to also lead to muscle tension. The more we practice these techniques, the more our bodies are able to effectively initiate a relaxation response. There are a number of research-based relaxation techniques that your chronic pain team can review with you to practice in very key ways to be most effective. Next, we have self-talk. Self-talk is the way that we talk to ourselves in our thoughts. Over time, if our thoughts develop thinking patterns that might not be helpful or are negative, our brains and bodies are influenced, meaning this impacts how our body feels and how we respond to pain. Research has shown that when we create awareness and reframe unhelpful thinking patterns in our self-talk and learn to develop new, more helpful self-talk or other ways of thinking, we can also change how our bodies and behaviors respond to pain. Research has shown that using CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, to develop these skills to change our self-talk is one of the most effective approaches. Because of this evidence, we offer a CBT skills group at the Highland Primary Care Network to understand our own thinking traps and work on skills to change our self-talk. The good news is that the human brain is bioplastic, which means we can learn new things and create new pathways in the brain. Forging new pathways in the brain requires a lot of practice and commitment. You may have seen or heard of the forest analogy before, and it makes sense that changing the way that you think and feel are going to be challenging until you can forge those pathways so that they go from being a dense forest to a well-traveled road. Many of the strategies used with the 5 big skills for chronic pain management are based on components of CBT. If you're interested in having weekly support to learn and use the CBT skills in your life, we do have an exciting option here at the Highland PCN. I know that sometimes the idea of a group can be overwhelming, so I do just want to clarify that the focus of a skills group is just that, focusing on skills. There's lots to learn and new strategies to try each week. When people with chronic pain have attended and applied these CBT skills from the group, they've been shown to increase effective coping skills for managing pain, reduce pain intensity, and improve their quality of life. The final big skill is communication, and this can be a pretty big one. Do you ever find it difficult to communicate with those in your life about your chronic pain? It could be family members, friends, colleagues, or healthcare providers. There are tough conversations that sometimes happen or need to happen when living with chronic pain. Increasing communication skills can decrease the isolation that can come with living with chronic pain and improve connection overall with others. It is a large concept with multiple different possibilities for what we can focus on in your one-on-one appointments. Thank you so much for making it this far. We aren't saying that this is easy work by any means, but it is really important work. Now, everyone's journey throughout the chronic pain program is a little bit different, so your next steps will vary depending on where you're at. If you already have an appointment booked, perfect, we will see you soon. If you don't, feel free to reach out, and depending on what you're ready for, feel free to register into our CBT skills group. I suggest doing so as soon as possible as it is very popular and fills up really quickly. Or you can always make an appointment with a chronic pain team member to make a plan for going forwards. Thank you so much.